So my name's Mat Voyce. I'm a type animator, and I kind of call myself your friendly neighborhood type animator and designer. And under that title falls all manner of type, really. It's like type illustration, type design, type animation. Basically, if it's typography, and if it's a project that involves type that needs to move or be illustrated, then that's kind of my realm. And over the last few years, I've kind of made a bit of a niche for myself, just doing purely type animation. But that's all been combined from, it was like 10 years of agency experience in different roles and learning skills. And I just kind of came out the other end of it with typography being a really strong subject for me, and slowly but surely landed on type in motion. And yeah, now it's just creating animated type for clients around the world, projects small and big, and a lot of personal exploration and personal pieces that are just sort of like trial and error and tests to see how type can move and how type can come to life. So over the kind of period of 10 years of working for agencies, I was always quite good at typography, just designing letter forms and making them stand out and feel like something quite unique. So even if I was doing projects that had nothing to do with motion, type was always a really strong point. So whatever the project was, or whatever the projects that came into the different agencies that I worked for, if it was type-based, then I kind of jumped on a lot of that kind of stuff. And then as I started to learn animation and learn about how to animate characters, so learning how to animate nothing to do with type, just how to literally animate like characters around like a campfire, or following YouTube tutorials on how to animate like a run cycle or a walk cycle for a character. So then I would basically take the skills that I learned in those tutorials that had nothing to do with type and go home and then practice them on typography, because I got into a really good rhythm of creating type for myself. Just like I said, just exploratory type in my own time, posting it on Instagram. Not really had a big following at the time, so it wasn't for followers, it was just for me really. And I kind of just kept kind of doing that consistently. And then as I started to learn typography in motion, I think COVID hit. So I was still working full-time for an agency, but I wasn't commuting. So I would take like those 1 or 2 hours every day that I would have been commuting, and I would just use it then instead and just sit on my computer at home because I couldn't really go anywhere, and just make a random little animation or like an animated sticker to use on Instagram or on Snapchat, whatever it was. And they started to take flight. They started to become like really popular. And because I was sharing them on Instagram, Dribble, Behance, LinkedIn, it all started to kind of build momentum. And that's when the type-based commissions started to roll in slowly but surely. And it got to a point where I was doing more, I was kind of almost doing like a freelance career on top of a day job. So something had to give or take, and the day job for an agency dropped. And then it was like pure focus just on type, trying to like master that craft and create something that's unique, but special to me, and something that feels very organic and natural to create. It doesn't feel like too much hard work. It's just, it's kind of like a passion really. So it's come through to a career, which is quite nice, like kind of like full circle. I tried to use it as a period of really finding my feet in something that I liked creating. And because everyone was on their devices all the time, it was the perfect time to create these animations and post them out online because people would see them. And that was kind of the thought process really. It was like using COVID but in a positive way, which was hard because there was a lot of negativity at the time, and it was quite a tough time for everyone. I never kind of set out to try and find a niche, and I think that was how I didn't kind of feel so boxed in. I tried all those different sides of design. Like I tried advertising, pure illustration, I tried web design. So I had to kind of like filter out those other aspects that didn't work for me, to see what would work for me. And it was tricky because there was periods where I was doing stuff that I didn't really like, and for a spell I thought, well, maybe this is what I'm going to be doing forever now, even though I don't purely love it. It was kind of like hard to sort of see the end goal really. And then like the way I tried to balance that with like almost like having the full-time career at the same time was like I'd work the 9 to 5 job like happily, and it was still in design, so I was still kind of learning stuff. But then it was like trying to find and put aside those hours, even like post COVID, like find like an hour or 2 hours a day, which can be hard, but to just try those different things and see like, oh, do I like creating stuff just for web, or do I like just hand illustration? And I did a lot of that. I did like a lot of combining and like Photoshop work and basic animation of characters, and I had to kind of filter out and try those different aspects before I kind of found that one little area. And it is dangerous niching. Like a lot of people say, don't niche down, because you can, if that niche sort of falls out of trend, you could be out of work. So it's kind of, I guess it's kind of like finding a niche, but finding something that's going to stay constant and stay relative. And that's why I think motion especially is a really good area for that. Like if you don't know if you like motion, try it, like do some tutorials, and at the end of the day, like everything going forward is going to be animated. Like Instagram is now video. So yeah, so if you can like gain some of those skills and even learn some basic motion, I think it will help you out in the future. It's just you have to just try some of these YouTube tutorials, see if you like doing that, see if you like doing this, and see what turns out and what comes out the other end. Because then, obviously everyone does have different experiences, and everyone has different paths and has different roles and sort of life experiences. So you can kind of like pull some of those and use those towards your career as well. It does help because everyone has a different viewpoint, and you can be quite surprised at what people can come out with when they try these new skills and they try and learn something new, and something can be really popular, and you never know, you could be starting your own kind of niche in a way. I wish I'd known that like there's no pressure to work in an agency, because when I was starting out when I was younger, I thought I had to work in a design agency. I didn't think there was a way around that. I thought like that was the only way into the whole industry, really. I thought that was like the doorway, when in reality it's not. If you can be like a freelancer, or if you can be like a specialist in some form of art or design, then that kind of opens up whole new doorways, and you'd be surprised at how many different places offer roles in these niches or these specific roles. So I really wish that I'd known that not getting a job in a design agency wasn't the end of the world like I thought it was. Especially when I spent like 6 or 8 months after I left university trying to find a job, and just going in circles, just having interviews, not getting any interviews, not getting asked back for jobs, just going in circles. So I wish I'd kind of known that, because when I did start out, the first job I had was in a marketing team for a college, doing posters and doing art and design and marketing for this college and university. So I don't think it matters where you start, as long as you kind of rise the ranks and then you practice, really. I wish I'd at least tried some of the other design programs instead of just sticking into Photoshop, which is kind of what I did when I left university. I briefly opened like Illustrator and After Effects for course modules, but I'd opened them and then never opened them again. So I wish I'd kind of started earlier and started learning about the programs that everybody uses, to kind of then, give me almost like a step up from everybody else who was trying to find jobs. Because if you can kind of sort of slowly start developing those skills in those programs, and it doesn't have to just be like the Adobe suite, there's like online tools, there's Cinema 4D, Blender, Spline, Canva, there's all these different avenues. So I wish I'd kind of, try to look at these other programs and see if certain ones work and certain ones don't work. Because I think it might have helped me originally find a job. That would have been a good start, I think, just to explore. But although at the time, I mean, this was like when was this, 2013, like some of these programs, Figma didn't exist, like some of these programs wasn't a thing. So now it's like amazing because there's so many resources and so many online websites and software platforms that you can use, like, and YouTube, you can just learn stuff instantly. It's quite a kind of learning curve that you can use now. The third thing is I wish I hadn't have been so hard on myself, because when I was trying to learn stuff, even though I'd only just opened these programs, if something didn't look great, then I would kind of be like, well, I'm probably not good enough to make something in this then, and that's it for me. Like, I'm not going to try this to do like illustration of characters. That's not for me. I kind of shut things down very quickly instead of putting them to rest and then trying to pick them up a few weeks or months later, which is what I did with Motion. I tried Motion, didn't like it, and then picked back up, well, quite literally a few years later. So yeah, I wish I hadn't been so punishing on myself and had given myself a little bit more compassion to really not just be so hard, being like, oh, I can't do this, I can't design that. Because it's quite easy to kind of like punish yourself and turn on yourself when you've made something and it doesn't quite look like what you wanted it to look like. It's hard. It's kind of like an internal battle, really. It's quite easy to go on someone's Instagram and be like, oh wow, like they've just got it all together, they've made it. Then no one really knows like the backstory as to how long it took or why it took so long. So yeah, you gotta just not judge a book by its cover in a way. And then the kind of the fourth point would be, I wish I'd reached out to more designers when I was kind of starting out. And by that I mean like when I was like struggling or when I was having issues, like I didn't really message people or just ask people on questions on Instagram and reach out, use the community basically. I just tried to battle it out on my own, which kind of does more harm than it's good, especially when you'd be surprised how many more people are in like the same boat as you. Yeah. It's quite a global thing and people struggle all over the place. So using like, especially in Instagram now, like I kind of have like an online network of like people that I've never met, but I chat to and I ask questions to, or like I can like show my work to just to see what they think. And it's kind of like an online resource that's like invaluable, really, is other designers and making sure that you not use them but talk to them and grow that online network, because like I say, everything's online now. It's like a digital community, so you've got to kind of make the most of that and grab that community and just and just share stuff with each other. Kind of like part of that is like collaborating as well. Like, so it's really important to collaborate with other artists and designers and animators. Like I've over the last few years, I've kind of gone out my way to contact people on Instagram. They didn't have to have a big following, just if they had like a nice art or like illustration or design style, then I kind of message them and be like, let's collaborate. Or sometimes people message me being like, do you want to just work together on something and just make something to post out there on the internet for people to see? And it doesn't have to be like of monetary value or to try and make money. It's just like a fun exercise, and it's using that community again to like come together and make something and just show people that like you can collaborate online, and it's kind of like a really special part of it. The kind of fifth and final one, it was going to be, I had it in my mind then. It was, sorry, I've just drawn an absolute blank. I wish I'd known that having like a personal style doesn't come overnight. Because again, when I kind of started out, Dribble was massive. Like Dribble was like this massive online community, and I kind of got really sucked into that and seeing like these really famous designers on there who had like these really perfect like illustration styles that obviously again, like I didn't know like how long it had taken these people to get these styles and how much they'd worked towards it, but like it was seeing these like really impressive art styles and then me going back to Illustrator and like almost like recreating them but trying to put my twist on them, and things just not kind of looking right, and then like jumping over to try something else and try like a different style. So when I was like learning to illustrate, like I tried so many different styles. I tried like like kind of like that Mondays poster, but just for like I was drawing like buildings and really intricate things. I tried like more sticker based things, and I tried like kind of like Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon style illustrations for characters. So I tried all these different things, and in the end, like none of them really stuck, but they kind of all mashed together to make, well, the kind of style that I have now. So although at the time they might have felt like the styles and the way like I was designing was useless, or that I wasn't going to use it, it has the skills learned, and like the techniques and processes have mashed together and become like one style in any way. So it's worth like trying those styles, and knowing that like you're not going to hit that personal style first time. It's going to take like repetition. It's going to take trial and error. But it will come if you can stay consistent and keep practicing. Like practice makes perfect. A personal style will start to show, and you will start to get into a flow and find things easier, but it's not going to be overnight. And I wish I'd been more realistic about how long these things were going to take, instead of thinking, oh, if I start doing it like this, then I'm going to be great in no time. And that just wasn't the case. It had to take years and practice and error, and a lot of failing. And failing is a good thing. It's most of the time. You learn a lot from it, and if you can evolve from it and use the learnings towards your next move or role or skill set, then it's really important. Massive shout out to Pro-Moxion. Like it's nice to see someone building something, and again, like using those online communities is like really important. So yeah, like grab hold of it and join in and be a part of it. It's very important. So yeah, keep it up and keep growing it, and hopefully I'm sure people will jump along and join the journey.